Alright folks, my name is Freyn and today I'm going to talk about the Chieftain 10. Now, I've played the Chieftain 3 quite a lot. I obviously recently did a video on the Chieftain 3, and the Chieftain 10 in theory plays very much the same. Its armour is entirely concentrated on the turret, and it's not really got much else going for it. The gun is nice. You get some slightly better shells this time. You get APFS DS rounds, but you still maintain that same incredibly, well, may as well not exist hull armor and no mobility whatsoever to speak of. So, for the most part, I've tried to play it like the Chieftain 3. Stay back, stay hull down, snipe. The thing that makes the Chieftain 10 so much worse than the Chieftain 3, and there's no other way to put it really, is that the meta has shifted by the time you reach tier 6. Now you are basically the only tank that has a speed that low. Everything else is going around at 70 kilometers an hour, and you're sat there struggling to reach 30 on flat terrain half the time. Not only that, but everyone is able to actually fire fully accurately at these high speeds. Most the clips you can see in the background, I've got, lifespans of 2 to 3 minutes, and I'm usually getting shot in the back, and it's simply just not fun as far as I'm concerned. Now I know a lot of people like tier 6. I know it's a big popular part of the game. There's a lot of people right now grinding out for an Abrams or something. And in other tier 6 tanks, it might be a bit more entertaining, but I've tried varying the gameplay. I've tried not doing the camping, hold down thing, even though it goes against how the Chieftain should in theory play. I have tried shaking things up because that rear, camping playstyle wasn't working. And I can't say it's made any improvement. You're just so slow, and the games are so small because there's not a massive amount of players up there, and most of the ones that are currently trying to play the 9.3s, which there is a limit on how many can be in each battle. So you're ending up with sort of 6v6, 8v8 games, and this, on the existing maps, leaves massive areas where there's just no cover. You can't cover the whole map and prevent people from breaking through your lines, so speed becomes the absolute just must have. Everything is firing APFS DS rounds that will kill in one shot, so it's just all about that speed. And when you're in a slow tank like this, it's just not going to work. Now on the larger maps, your lack of speed means you can't take any sort of cap control, so the enemies are always going to get those caps, they're always going to get the respawns. On a smaller map, the likelihood is they're just going to be behind you as soon as you try and leave the spawn. I've had deaths in spawn so many times from just a charging Leopard 2K. And it's not like it's only the higher tiers that are a threat, of course, because you have no hull armor. Even the lower tiers are still dangerous to you. And you can't always stay hull down. You have to move sometime if you want to try and regain that map control. But that's enough sadness for now, I think. I did have one good game. One good game in the Chieftain 10 that I will show you. So we'll move on to that. And here we are, my one good game in the Chieftain 10. Oh god, that's depressing to say. Sad music is over, and I'm here on Kursk. It's a 9.3 game, it's domination, and I've got the south spawn, so as pretty much always, I'm going to go to this little ridge up here, and due to the fact I'm playing the Chieftain and it basically wants to stay hull down as much as possible, I'll be moving about probably a combined total of 200 meters after I reach the top of this ridge. Maybe a little more, who knows. So you can see I've got Abrams on my team, and we are against only Russia, I believe. And I'm just sitting at the top of this ridge, trying to find a target. Now, as I said, playing hold down hasn't always worked great for me, but it's still the best sort of situation for the Chieftain 10 to be in. You've still got that turret armor, and that's what you're relying on to do the job for you. So, first targets have been spotted, and after a bit of ranging, I've got the T-64 lined up there. So I'll go for the one on the left now, and through the lower plate, got the driver and a bit of ammo behind him. That's a 64B down, and with that, the second one decides to drive actually further up on top of the ridge there, so he's no longer hull down. He's now a slightly easier shot. But ranging in, no, not ranging, adjusting where you're hitting at this range with such high velocity shells isn't the easiest. You can't move the mouse and sort of find enough increments, but I managed to hit his driver's hatch there and take him out. So that's 2 down, and they're both top tier tanks, so they should be reduced to only either, I think, a light tank or an AA now if they wish to come back. We've just lost the Abrams, who was pretty much beside me, to a T-64A, so I'm a bit concerned. But I've also seen another target on the ridge. Now this one's a bit more hull down, I can't hit his lower plate. I just glanced up his driver's hatch there into his barrel. So that was almost a perfect shot, could have killed him. But then I get hit and the directional marker shows it being from the left. So I'm backing up, and I'm trying to see where the shots come from. Now it's possible, as I've said, due to the speed of this vehicle, they could have already driven around the town unseen, flanked me and got a shot off there. But I can't see anything, and I'm just assuming it's a broken directional marker. So I'm going to look down towards C instead and see if maybe that's where the shot came from. Now there is a T-64 there that I ever so briefly saw as I was backing up. So I'll just try and get some, bit better of an angle on him, and then try and work out where he's gone. Now, just noticed him, he's off to the right, down by the water. So he's seen me, I've seen him, we've both missed. We're shooting about 1600 meters here, and there's another one capping the sea point. But that's 1 down. So T-64A through the upper plate. With the additional height, this round can pretty much get through the 64A, even at a good range. On flat ground, not quite at full range like that. But I've also just lost my barrel, and there's the culprit down there. Now, a bit concerned because my lower plate is going to be visible here. I'm not fully hull down. I'm just trying to spray him with machine guns and hope someone else notices him. But we know there's that guy, and then we also know someone else who kept the sea point before he arrived. So there's 2 down there. And I've got to bear that in mind for whatever else I do. Now, staying back like this, as I've said in my Chieftain 3 video and already mentioned a bit today, staying back like this is the only way to really keep your Chieftain 10 alive. You know, you've got to stay hull down like that. It's the only way you're going to sort of keep it alive. And while it's not helping you get map control, it's certainly not helping you get cap control, you're still more used to your team being at the back like this and not really joining in the majority of fights than you are dead. Not much more useful, but you are more useful. And given that the next backups after my Chieftain 10 dies are going to be a Chieftain 5 or a Chieftain 3, which are basically just worse versions of the same thing. So much worse, in fact, that they don't even have a gun that can really deal with any of these tanks head on, or armor that can resist them. They're basically just a slow target. Then the last thing I want to be doing is losing my Chieftain 10. But I've got a new target, crossing the field. Now, hit slightly off to the side there, got his fuel through his lower plate. but he's either burnt down very quickly or he just didn't have FPE. So that's a 3064B down, and also pick off an AA with a quick hull break there. So that's 5 kills now. I've barely moved, and this is basically the best way I can contribute to my team. Until I know those caps are clear, there's no way I'm going down to them. So overall, even though this is my best game in the Chieftain 10, it's still a thoroughly boring game. I mean, the tanks are just not exciting to play, let alone to watch, in my opinion. They're never going to be exciting because you're restricted to this. If you want to do well, this is how to do it. But we are winning. We're managing to get the B point back. And this Abrams seems to be fighting something. There's the marker. It's just off to the side. Pick up, man. There goes another 64B. Now that's, I think, 4 64Bs I've killed now. And there's a ZSU there as well. We'll just pick him off. And that'll clear the B point. That's all of their top tier tanks down. And one of the tanks that we know is at the C point has come up the hill. There's still one more unaccounted for. He's never died. I've just checked the scoreboard. There is Combat Snail. He's never died. We know he kept C. And I know he's not reappeared. So he's going to be down the hill. But at this point, those 7 kills are all my kills. There's pretty much no more action for this game. It's, again, just sitting on this ridge line and trying to keep my tank in one piece. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to Chieftain 10 gameplay. On a smaller map, you're going to get flanked, you're going to get absolutely pummeled from every possible direction. If you get hit and survive somehow, you're still dead, because they will close the gap, they will finish you off. On a long range map like this, it's a bit better suited to the tank, but you're still really at the mercy of your teammates. And with no good backup options for it, like, Britain doesn't have a fast option that you can bring instead. One that's going to be able to reliably flank to actually kill these vehicles. You're just at a massive disadvantage, and I can't say I found Tier 6 to be enjoyable in any way. With all these tanks moving around at high speed, fully on the move, you know, one-shots, point-and-click adventure, no stopping required. It's just, I know, it's not for me. It might be for other people. I know several people who actually really like the Chieftain 10 and have good performance in it. Personally, despite loving sniping and this being a sniper tank, this was some of the most dull games I've ever had. Even the good ones. So yeah, I think my thoughts for the Chieftain 10 and Tier 6 in general here are pretty much just about covered, so I'm gonna leave the video there. Thank you very much for watching, for sharing in my frustration and pain. I hope you've enjoyed it somehow, you sadists, and I'll see you next time.